Hey guys, and welcome back to the M&M podcast or the M&M updates as part of the Natty scene. I'm back. Vicky is also back, although Vicky's not been on the same sort of break. But I'm back from. I've got my tourist top on today. I'm back from
Tourist top.
tourist out of 10. So I'm back from Boston. I've got lots to talk about. Vicky's got lots to talk about. So if you've missed us, which you definitely have, then immediately screenshot this image of us going like this.
Uh,
Uh, there we go, cool. So everyone's immediately screenshotted that because everyone does miss us. Um,
Absolutely. I miss us. I've missed our
yeah,
updates for the last it's only been 2 weeks or something, but
yeah.
oh my God, it's like I've missed
I think it's
out on
been
my
I think it's been three actually because the week before I left we
right.
didn't do one. So
That's true.
yeah, it's been like 3 weeks. It has been quite a while. So there's been lots going on obviously with myself. Vicky will run through some
Yeah.
questions. So should we start with what I've been up to and then move on to you
Absolutely.
afterwards? Okay, cool.
Absolutely. So,
Right.
okay, so let's go from you flew out to Boston
Yes.
and you did an absolutely shit job at traveling and a shit job at keeping us updated and that kind of thing when you arrived there. And then you went and did a show. I don't know if anybody knows about this, but you went and did a show in Boston, right?
Yeah, I might have done. I mean, I might have done the odd Instagram story now and again, but yeah, I was
That's it.
pretty poor on the communication level.
Well, especially with me, and I was gutted because I'm your baby M, and I'm gutted. But anyway, no, moving swiftly on. So you did the show, and you came away reigning champion, as we knew that you would do. So you are officially, what is your official title now then?
WMBF Junior World Champion, 2016. I think it's WMBF and IMBF.
2016? Where are you?
2017. Sorry, I'm not Daniel Park.
I was going to say you're taking Dan's title away from him there. That's so
I
funny.
put a funny story. I put like a side tricep of us up on my story this morning because ages and ages ago, I do this whenever I don't have phone data. I'm sure so many people can relate. When you don't have phone data, you just scroll through your camera roll because that's all you can do. So I
Yeah.
was scrolling through my camera roll like on the way back on the flight, and I saw this old side tricep that I compared like 6 months ago of me and Dan, and yeah, it's quite funny. Like I just thought, fuck it, I'll put it on my story and see what he says. um, I tell you what, right? It would be well cool for me and Dan to compete against each other at one day because I think that would be a battle. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that's something that I potentially want to discuss. Is like, yes, I went out to Boston. Yes, I did a world championship, but in all honesty, I think in terms of difficulty level of winning a show and the weird thing is I think I got more satisfaction out of winning the British than I did the Worlds. Um,
Really? It's
yeah,
interesting.
the reason is um, I compete because I want a challenge,
Mm.
and every time that I step on stage and I think like I always think about the work that I've put in. So I always tell this to my clients. I'm like, when you stand on that stage and you hit that front relaxed, you're gonna have to think about all those squat sets that just really took you to that next place. All those
Yeah.
cardio sessions that you got up to do when you really didn't fancy doing it. Like all of those things, those are the things that are going to be running through your head. And I just thought like they were all running through my head, but at the same time, like I was up there with three other guys. There was four in my class, including me, and I was just like, is this a battle or is this like me turning up to compete and just being the best, you know?
Mm.
And I'm not saying that I wasn't pushed. I'm not taking anything away from the other competitors, but they weren't they weren't anywhere near the condition of what I brought on that day, and that's obviously where the judges went. I got a lot of
Yeah.
good feedback from the judges in terms of just being in a different league comparatively with
Mm.
conditioning. The interesting thing as well is that when I came off stage from prejudging, and this is another thing that people maybe didn't realize, is we went on stage for like the prejudging part, because it wasn't a run through show, it was prejudging and a night show. So we went on stage prejudging at like 8 a.m. and then
Oh wow, that's early.
sorry, not 8 a.m. That's too early. It was like 10
Yeah.
a.m. It was like 10
Right.
a.m. So it was still pretty
Still
early.
early though,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And then we didn't get results until like 9 p.m. Legit. The
Shit. That's
the
like
the
a
sh
12-hour day hanging on.
the show was so long, and it was great. I love bodybuilding, but by the end of the day, I hardly got to enjoy the show because I was
Yeah.
so hella anxious about just hearing my result. The reason
Yeah.
I was anxious is because of the stage lighting, it wasn't that good. And the way the auditorium worked is that it was really, 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 really high. So
Mm.
you, the people at the front got a great view. They were looking up towards the stage. They could see everything quite clearly. Go to the back, and you'd be so high up that all you could see was structure and shape. Okay, so
Okay.
you couldn't see condition. When the pros came on, and I was sitting quite far up top because we were told as athletes if we were eating, etc., there was a lot of people coming to watch. So if we were eating and all that jazz, we should be situated further up the top to get out the way.
Mm.
So I was at the top and I was like, these pros aren't even in condition. Like, they look all soft. And you go down to the front, you're like, holy fuck. The difference was
Yeah.
insane. So with that, with you only being able to see shape and structure, when I came off stage from prejudging, people were like, it's a close battle between you and second, because all they could see from the top was structure, and there was a huge guy, probably 30 pounds heavier than me, who was
Mm.
the one that was pushing me. Whereas Lee and Amy and a few others that were from the team that was sat right at the front, Lee just told me, if you don't win, I will like eat shit, basically,
Wow.
because he knew, he was like, it's a walk in the park. It's a walk in the park for you, mate. Um,
Mm.
and that was the difference. So I had one person telling me that it was done, and I had another saying it could be a battle. It's a topsy
Yeah.
turvy thing. I was like, well, what do I believe? So obviously, I was confident because I knew Lee does not bullshit.
Mm.
That's one thing about Lee that's very, very true. Is like, he will not bullshit. He always tells the truth about whether you're being pushed or not. Like, for example, with Damien, who actually he helps in a sense. He helps sometimes with Damien's diet. He's told Damien in the past, like, you're gonna get beaten here, or you're gonna, like, there's someone else better than you. He always
Yeah.
says it up front to him. So he says it up front to everyone. Um, so so yeah, I went quietly confident into the finals, and then got the result, and obviously was hella relieved. Put up a
Mm.
post, and by that time, like, by the time that I got back to the hotel, it was like 1 a.m. New York, not New York, Boston time.
Yeah.
So people from the UK were sort of waking up. So like Jack Thorburn, people who get up at crazy o'clock were all
Mm.
waking up and seeing the results, which was awesome.
Yeah.
And it didn't really set in for a few days. But I felt amazing. That's the thing. I think that we'll talk about it in a bit, but I think the whole fatigue from the last 2 weeks has only realistically caught up with me now, because
Yeah.
over that 2 week period, I went fucking insane. Like,
Yeah.
I was so motivated that I I just wanted to just do everything, basically. So I was exploring a city, so doing a lot of steps, 20,000 to 25,000 a day, which, to be fair,
Wow.
wasn't crazy different to prep. Prep was like
Mm.
20,000, but 20 to 25,000 steps a day, eating a lot, but good
Mm.
food, eating like structured food still, but a lot. I bumped my calories up
Yeah.
aggressively, which we'll talk about, um, and training like twice a day.
Mm. Mm.
I was just literally on a high, a huge high, and still haven't come down from that high. I don't think I ever will, but I've realised now, I'm like, whoa, whoa, my body is not going to be able to sustain this for that long.
Yeah. Yeah.
without basically running into serious amounts of fatigue. But it's kind of cool to ride that kite for a little bit. And I'm sure everyone's been there and done it when you get on a high and you're like, I've just got to go and do stuff. And like, luckily, whilst I was out there, until right at the end, I was fine. Like, I felt awesome. But towards the end, when my sister arrived, like the last few days, I started telling her, I was like, man, like I'm not feeling good. I'm not feeling good here. I feel really run down. And she was like, well, you've not been having much sleep, AJ. You've been training twice a day. You've been walking loads. Your body's just like, it basically, I'm rambling so much, but I'm sure people people want to know this. But basically, the way that I find out that I'm fatigued is when I do stuff like this.
Yeah.
Sit down. Because I could literally go all day. If someone told me to just walk all day and just do stuff, I'm sure you're exactly the same, and I know you are exactly the same. You could just go, and then
Definitely.
you sit down at the end of the day, or you hop into bed, and you're like, wow, like
I'm tired.
I'm not
Yeah.
good. I'm not good here. I need some rest. And yeah, so that's where I am right now, and that's sort of like I guess a brief wrap up. But have you got any other questions that you wanted to ask about the trip, or what I did, or where I'm at with calories or anything like that? Anything that you're particularly
Yeah,
interested in?
well, what we had a little bit of a chat, didn't we? Because obviously you're now putting in, or you were putting in a lot of post-workout carbohydrates.
Oh yes, yeah.
So let's talk about that first of all, because we did have a chat about it, and we just briefly as well before we started the podcast, we had another little chat about it,
Yeah, sure.
saying that we may have to kind of mix around your food a little bit because you were finding that your blood glucose was going up quite a lot, and then getting this fatigue syndrome. So what made you decide first of all to put in a boatload of carbs? I mean, how many were you putting in? Were you putting in like 300 grams of carbs post workout or something?
Yeah, well, my day total was around about, during the trip, about 600 to 650 a day.
Yeah.
And now it's at about 650 steady.
Yeah.
And sometimes a little bit higher on lower body days. I think I put in, if you include veg, which we might talk about in a bit as to what I'm doing in terms of like veg tracking, and am I tracking it or am I not tracking it? Because, oh my God, the amount of questions,
Yeah.
when I said on Instagram that I wasn't tracking veg, the amount of bombardment of questions as to why I was
Really?
doing that. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. People are obsessed with food, Vicky.
Oh,
People are
tell me about it.
obsessed with
Yeah.
what you do with food. And I'm sure people are mind blown as to how you get away with 3,000 plus calories. They're just mind blown.
Oh, yeah.
They just don't think it's possible, but then they don't realize how people are different, and how people react to calories in different ways, and how energy expenditure is completely different, how hard you train influences your caloric intake. So yeah, loads of different things. But anyway, yeah, so I was putting in, at least 200 post workout, at least. Now, bear in mind that my day total usually was around about 400 at the end of prep, so it's still quite high. And then
Definitely.
throughout the sort of the peaking phase, I did several days at 425. I did several days at 450, and then I did a final top up on the day that we travelled out, 500. The reason why I did 500 is because the time difference meant that when we got there, I lost 5 hours, so I went 5 hours back. So I started eating at like 5 a.m. UK time, got there and realised I was like, shit, I am fucking ravenous. So I put in a little bit more on that day. But carbohydrate-wise, I'd been taking it a lot. So the difference was only the fact that I started putting them in post-workout. And the reason why I wanted to do this is the same reason why I'm doing higher fats today, is because whilst I'm still lean, I wanted to try stuff, wanted to trial stuff out, see what it had in terms of effect on my body. So actually, I was trialing, whilst I was out there, I was trialing both really high protein. So my protein on some days was close to 300 grams total in terms of both trace and high biological value. So by high biological value, we mean good quality protein sources like your lean
Yeah.
meats, your yogurt, your whey protein,
Egg
etc.
whites, things like that.
Yeah. Which we might discuss in another podcast as to why we do that. But yeah, so I was trialing both those things, and what I found, like whilst I was out there, is okay. But when I got back home and I started putting in these sort of higher carbohydrate meals, I found that I was just, especially if I was sitting down to eat them and then not doing anything else, I could just find myself getting really, really, really shaken up, really dizzy, like hot and cold, and just not reacting well to them, just not feeling good. Now this is probably a relation to insulin levels and therefore blood glucose. So when you obviously have a high influx of carbohydrates, especially post-training when you're lean and you're kind of depleted, you're gonna see a rise, a peak and rise of blood sugar, and when that drops off, you're gonna start to feel a little bit wacky, especially if you hadn't, especially if you've been training for a long time, and a lot of my sessions were pretty long, and my body was also fatigued. So I think that played a role. But yeah, I just think that the cost benefit of putting in that much post workout, especially when your overall carb intake is getting high, and I'm sure yours is high as well.
Sure.
It just doesn't, to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I think from a digestive point of view, I always have found that my digestion's better when I just like eat fairly consistent across the day. Now I do still have higher carbohydrates post workout than a few of my other meals, but not as aggressive as I was doing it in the past. And I already feel a lot better as a result of that. My first day of doing that was yesterday and the day prior.
Yeah.
I feel a lot better as a result. So I think that's something quite cool to know. I've also, since I got back, whilst I was out there, I was trying to keep dietary fat quite low. So my protein was really high, my carbs were quite high, my dietary fat was pretty low. So I've actually upped my fats to like 60, 65 grams. And I found
Okay, cool.
that's helped quite a lot as well with sort of like regulating blood sugar throughout the day. Because obviously
Sure.
fats blunt digestion. And they allow you to sort of have a level playing field a little bit more across the day, as opposed to having peaks and troughs, like just spiking blood sugar, spikes, so I feel a lot better on that. And also, I'm not sure if you agree, where are your fats at the moment? Are they decent?
60 gram a day.
Yeah, so they're decent. So the thing is, with like this whole preference on carbohydrates, if you keep bumping up your carbohydrates and you're like 40, 45 grams of fat a day, that gives you no flexibility. Like
No, nothing.
your off season diet looks just boring as hell.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
not if that was like 10% or 20% more optimal, of course I'd do it. But I don't think it is. Like I actually think bringing fats up and having them in the diet when you are in an off-season phase is actually very beneficial.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think from a health perspective, and also the fact that when you start your next diet, what's the first cut that we usually see? I usually
Take it out
cut
of fats.
fat, yeah,
Yeah.
because then we prioritize carbohydrates. But if you're starting your diet and your training day macros are like a million carb, 40 fat, what you're going to do is all you're going to do is just taper carbs, and that just gets boring as hell in my opinion. And I just think that the off season is a chance, especially if you don't gain a load of body fat in one go, which we both haven't. It's a chance to experiment with certain things, and I think the thing that I'm mainly experimenting with at the moment is not so much nutritionally, but more so with training. So I'm splitting my sessions, all of them apart from legs, and
Okay.
that's working an absolute treat. I wouldn't change that for the world because I actually really like training in the morning. I really really enjoy it, and I
That's
used to,
good.
I used to hate it, so I really really love that. but yeah, that's where that's the whole carb thing discussed. I guess for
Good.
people, yeah, I guess for people that kind of want to know where my weight is at and things like that. So my lightest weight was probably 146. I think it was the lowest average that I ever experienced.
Okay.
Throughout the entire prep, that was pretty depleted. And then my stage weight was 148.2 on the day. And
Good.
to be fair, I could have probably been a little bit heavier than that because the day after I was 149.5, and Dan Lampard, we both trained legs the day after the show. Fuck, I looked crazy shit hot that day. I looked
Yeah.
absurd, and all I did throughout show day was eat. I did the same as the UK DFBA finals, and I just ate every 2 hours. I was just
Yeah.
eating, but I was still hungry. Like, I was hungry between each meal, hungry. So I was just listening to my body, really. And I looked like really, really good the next day. So anyway, I was like 148.2, and then body weight literally came up from 148 to 153 in like a week, pretty much a week.
Wow, that's
But
amazing, yeah.
that was my goal. That was my goal. I wanted to add body weight very promptly because I've been in prep for like 44 weeks. I wanted to actually enjoy my trip, and I knew that the
Sure.
only way I was going to enjoy my trip is if I added body weight at a decent rate so that I got myself in a position where I felt okay. So 153, which is like 4 or 5 pounds, had me feeling really, really good. And my body weight this morning was 153. So my
Brilliant.
body weight hasn't changed since then. My calories have remained pretty static. My activity now that I'm home is a bit down on what it was when I was in New York. But to be honest, I feel like the reverse diet phase that I did actually not only built my metabolism up slightly or a lot, considering where my calories were in my last off season comparative to now. It's like
What are they
ridiculous, the
actually? So
difference.
what were they in your last off season?
Don't even want to know. Like towards the end of the off season, all I was doing was hitting my protein through bullshit sources
Yeah.
and really lazily eating about 3,100 calories. Just
Yeah, see, that's
really
nothing, is
lazily.
it?
Really late,
Mm.
but I had no structure. I'd eat a bowl of granola in the morning, and then I'd just like lazily eat throughout the day. So my structure was crap. And as much as meal timing or frequency or whatever, people think it doesn't matter. I think it does. I really do
Yeah,
think it does.
definitely. And I do think that the quality of your food at that point was,
Yeah,
it does really matter because you did look hella fat as
absorption.
well.
Yeah, absorption. Are you absorbing your food? Every bit
Yeah.
of nutrient I take in at the moment, I'm considering, do I absorb this food well? How's my digestive tract feeling? Am I drinking enough water? Like I think about fucking everything right now. And yes, you could argue take your foot off the gas a little bit, but I tell you what, it's really, 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 really hard to do that when you achieve something and you want to achieve something else. Like,
Yeah.
for example, yourself, you know exactly what you want to achieve. And
Yeah.
that's why you'll continue to be motivated throughout your season. When I finished like my prep and I had a year off, I was like, yeah, I could be a good junior next year, but I wasn't fully after it. And there's a
Mm.
huge difference in how you approach or how you attack your day when your drive and your goals are set versus not set. So if you're
Mm.
like, okay, in 2020, I want to turn pro, you
Yeah.
will do everything relentlessly for as long as you can to do that, you know. And I've seen that in people that, you know, both are successful in their preps and maybe not as successful as they wanted to be. It totally depends as to how you come out of it and what's the next goal you set. It's not what you do on that day that matters. It's what
Mm.
you do after. And I've seen a load of people blow up as well. Like I saw some posts this morning saying, you know, I spent 2 weeks on vacation and I blew up from my lowest contest weight of 85 kilos to 100 kilos.
Wow, that's a huge blow up.
Oh my God, I just don't even know how I could carry that amount of weight. Um, and I guarantee that's partly because they've just eaten crap.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. They had the binge, didn't they? Post-show binge. But they didn't just have like 1 day post-show binge. They had like 2 weeks worth of post-show binge. And the thing is that it's such a common thing. I saw a bikini girl actually who had one of the worst rebounds that I've ever seen. And I mean, she was lean on stage, even for a bikini girl. She was
bikinis are the worst for
lean.
it, to be honest,
Oh, yeah, well, it
because
is
they
though,
can
isn't it?
rebound so
Because
hard.
it's so bad, and they just kind of think, that they've been doing the white fish and the greens diet for like the last 2 weeks with
There we
all this
go.
high cardio and crap like that people just shouldn't bloody do anymore.
Yeah,
And then they get off stage, and then all of a sudden, they're like 30 pounds up.
yeah.
But then they post it on Instagram and say, yeah, just keeping it real for you guys. And it's like,
No,
well, if you actually took control of things, it's not about keeping it real. You've basically admitted that you're not healthily coming out of this prep, because you've completely messed up some of your systems now by doing that. And what about your relationship with food emotionally and
that's it.
mentally?
That's it.
Messed.
And for a female, this is what kind of maybe people need to realize about yourself is that your stage weight is so low that
Mm,
comparatively the amount that you actually need to gain post show is smaller than other people. So for
yeah,
example, I think you're what, like 2-3 pounds up, are you?
a little bit more than that
A little
now.
bit more, okay.
I know.
But you put up a post like saying that you gained like 2 pounds of something, didn't you, over the last 6 weeks or something? Am
Yeah,
I
so
wrong?
basically that's it. So I had my body fat done by the
Yeah,
InBody.
let us know about
Um,
this.
yeah, so I had that done, and that was the first one that I had done was 4 weeks post show.
Okay,
And I measured, yeah, and I was something like, I think I was 3 pounds up from stage weight at that point, 4 weeks
perfect.
later. And I was 7.7% body fat. So I know, crazy, right? That was
Not
3 weeks post.
perfect.
Not perfect, but that was 3 weeks post, and that was like halfway through the day after a big leg session. So
Wow. So
everything,
inflammation.
yes, inflammation as well. So obviously it wasn't a brilliant reading, but we went on 7.7. I had my next scan done this Monday just gone. So this is like another 6 weeks later.
Sure.
So 10 weeks post show, between the first scan and the second scan, I had gained a kilo. So 2.2 pounds I'd gained between that time.
Yeah.
It was an equal distribution of body fat in relation to lean muscle
Nice.
or lean tissue. My water balance was exactly the same. So there was no kind of added extracellular or intracellular water withholding or anything like that. It was just 2.2 pounds that I've gained in the last 6 weeks, and my body fat remained at 8.2% body fat. So I'm still very, very lean.
Mm.
And actually, I stood in front of Zach, my coach, and he was having a look and assessing my physique. And he said, mate, you're still very lean, and you could do with getting uglier at
Mm.
this point. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, right, okay. So 10 weeks later, I should be uglier than I am.
Yeah.
But my calories are up to 3,600 every day.
Savage.
It's crazy.
Hmm.
My weight was up last time I checked my weight, because I'm not weighing in every day. The last time I checked my weight was last Friday, and I was 109
I'm
pounds.
actually really considering that. I'm actually
Yeah,
really
well, not
considering
weighing in
like
every day.
weighing less, yeah. Because
Yeah, to
quite
be
frankly,
honest,
Vicky, I'm bored of the scale. I'm really
exactly.
bored of looking at it.
It started messing up my head, if I'm honest. And
Mm.
this is like a proper truthful post, but chat about it. The scale started to mess me up and to piss me off,
Right.
because I know that I need to put on weight in order to progress, in order to gain some more tissue, etc., etc. But sometimes that number jumped up by like 2 or 3 pounds overnight due to whatever, poor digestion, the way that I slept that
Sodium.
night. Exactly. So everything like that had posed a factor. But the jump in the scales by doing 2 or 3 pounds, I was like, holy fuck. And then one day I jumped on the scales and it said 110 pounds, which was actually my goal to get to in the first 6 weeks post stage. And this was like last week. And it automatically blew my head, because it wasn't 10 something. Now it was like double figures. Do you know what I mean? And I was
Yeah.
like, shit, ruined my day. And I spoke to Zach about it. And I just said, listen, I'm not going to weigh in. I don't want to weigh in every day. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. So now the stress and the relief of just eating my diet, training as hard as I possibly can, and then not weighing in the next day or being concerned about it. I'm in so much of a better place mentally, like so much better. And I do the same with my clients as well. So why on earth I wasn't doing it myself was just ridiculous to me. I've got clients who are scared of the number going up, even though that's what they need to do in order to progress.
Yeah.
So I just say, fine, we're going to take the scale away then.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah.
We're just not going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I've said the same to quite a few of my off-season clients when they just get to that point where they are like just getting really frustrated with weigh-ins. I'm just like, you know what? If you can handle it, just weigh in on one day, but make sure that day the variables are pretty static. So you've had your normal amounts of water, you've had relatively normal sodium. So your weigh-in day, if you were to pick one, wouldn't be the day that after you got out for a hamburger, fries, and drunk less water and post legs. No, like you're not going to do that. I mean, personally, at the moment, the only days that I didn't weigh were the days where I came back from New York. The day that I actually came back, because I'd packed my scale amongst a load of garbage that actually was hella overweight. I had to pay for overweight baggage twice.
No way.
Yeah.
Gutted.
Like the amount of crap that I bought back in terms of, like, I bought back like 8 hoodies. I was like, why did I buy these? Stupid person. Anyway, so those are the only two, and I felt immediately less stressed. Because I was just like, you know what? It doesn't matter. And I tell you what about fluctuations, right? One day I told Jack about this. I think I talked about it in my story as well. One day I went out for sushi and with my sister, and I told her, I was like, this sushi like just tastes different. It's just like I could tell that it had glisten of like, and I ordered like 2 plates of like hella sushi. Because when you go for sushi, you go for sushi. Unless you're Steve Hall and you get 2 rolls. No, I'm joking.
Yeah. Because he's watching his weight.
6-inch Steve.
6-inch Steve. Love it. Love Steve.
I really shouldn't say that in a Costa.
No, exactly. You are in a public place.
Yeah, no. Okay, so yeah, I was like, this is so salty. This tastes like ridiculous. And I went back home, and people can relate. When you've had a high sodium meal, for me, but I'm sure most people are the same. It's abs. It's like abs.
Yeah.
It like just looks like I have no abs.
Well, you do, but you have an abdominal.
Yeah, it's really odd. It's really odd though, because I was like in the bathroom. I was like, my quads are still striated, but I have no abs, like nothing. And I was like, I'm gonna wake up really heavy. So I went to bed, and I woke up, and my weigh-ins had been like 152, 153. I woke up, I was 157.8.
Jesus, that was like an immense.
I was like, bruh. I was like, this is not good. So the rest of that day, I was like, I need to stay on top of hydration. So I did have to like stop at Starbucks and sneak into toilets quite a lot of times on that day.
Yes.
And I remember I was like we did a boat tour on that day as well. And like I went to the toilet like 4 times on this like 45-minute boat tour.
No way, that's crazy.
People were looking at me like hella weird, like, what is this guy doing?
Yeah, exactly.
And I was,
what is wrong with him?
Stumbling down to go to this toilet that was the dodgiest toilet on earth. But yeah, and then the next day I woke up like back to like 154, I think, and then the next day 153. So I lost like 4.5, 5 pounds like in one day, all because I just like drank more water, excreted all the sodium. So guys, if you have like a really salty meal where you accidentally have more sodium in a day, just don't even bother weighing in the next day.
Yeah. And if you do and your head gets blown, exactly. If you do and your head gets blown, literally just kind of think in the next 2 days it'll come off anyway.
just remember energy balance. Like,
Yeah.
energy in versus energy out. If you're like expending a decent amount of energy, which I was when I was there, and I am still now, when I'm training twice a day, my energy expenditure is pretty damn high. So my caloric intake is going to be in response to that. So I second guess myself as well. Like, sometimes when I look at my calories now, like, I looked at my body weight's been the same for like the last 3 days. I looked at my caloric intake on my Fitness and it's like 4,200 calories, and I'm like, surely I should be fatter than I am on those calories. And you know what? I've actually just created a meal plan now, and I don't even look at MyFitnessPal, because
Same here.
it actually scares me a bit looking at my numbers, because it mind fucks me into thinking that I should be fatter. Because
Sure.
I've never been on these calories before, and I'm sure that you're maybe the same in terms of the
Oh,
fact that
exactly the
you're on high
same.
calories. You're like, surely I should be like not looking like this, and surely I should be gaining faster. Or sometimes it's better just to like, and I think that's why some of the bodybuilders that don't use MyFitnessPal and just eat like regular meals each day are less stressed about the
Yeah.
scale, less stressed about their body weight, less stressed about sort of everything, and generally have a better time in the off season, because they're just whimming along and they're not looking at the numbers too much. They're not looking at, oh, no, it's carbs, fat, protein every single day, and mind
Yeah,
fucking
no, no,
themselves
no.
about it. But
Yeah.
yeah, anyway, I think we're coming up on time. We talked a lot about myself in this one,
It's okay.
which is very selfish. But just to cover quickly, Vicky's done some really cool things recently. So she's done like a powerlifting meet where she did
Yeah.
super well. So in the next episode, you can look forward to us covering that and having a more in-depth catch-up on where Vicky's at, because this has been pretty much myself. But guys, if you have like any other questions that you wanted to ask me about where I'm at, what I'm doing, maybe how I dealt with the whole sort of 2 weeks where I was away and I didn't necessarily have cooking facilities, in terms of if you're traveling and you want some advice, I think that I'm going to be doing a lot more traveling, so I might do more sort of like travel tips, because the realism of staying on track whilst you're traveling is actually really damn easy.
Yeah.
If you have a plan, you can stay on track really easily.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So yeah, we'll cover that, and then next episode we'll cover Vicky. But is there anything else that you wanted to sort of leave us with, Vicky, at all before we go?
Not at the moment, no. Obviously, if you guys got any questions for me as well, just shoot me across a DM on
Yeah,
Instagram
of
or
course.
Facebook. You know where we are. But yeah, if there's any questions about that, then just do that. We'll
Yeah,
always aim to get back to you as soon
Instagram's
as
the
we can.
best.
And yeah, I think Instagram is the best, really. So I'm responding to a lot of people, and I'm really actually very glad that people are starting to have a look at my posts and actually implement those training tips. It was really cool. So thank you
Nice.
very much for those, guys. So keep those going. If you do implement anything that me and AJ suggest, like putting a foam roller behind your back when doing the pec deck,
Nice.
that one went down really well. Just screenshot what you're doing or how you felt, and then send that across to us and tag us in it. Obviously, tag us in the anabolic chippy posts, because they never get boring. And we've also got anabolic cinnamon now,
Oh,
and
we
of
have.
course anabolic paprika that goes on the anabolic chippies for a full
But
plate of anabolism.
by the way, I saw this on Alex Kickle's page. He's a really cool guy. He runs the Beast Fitness Radio podcast. So
Oh
if
yeah.
you like bodybuilding podcasts, definitely listen to Beast Fitness Radio. It's very good. He put up a post like quite a while ago. If you're using cinnamon as part of basically like a glucose disposal agent, you should look to use the Ceylon cinnamon. It's
Yeah.
available on Amazon. It's a different like grade of cinnamon. It's just potentially better than the shop bought ones in terms of being a glucose disposal agent, because of the quality of it, apparently. So that's a little pro tip. It's spelt Ceylon.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, you can get like kilogram bags of it on Amazon. I've got a couple. So it doesn't taste any different. Probably tastes not as good as the sweet cinnamon. So if you're using it for taste, then use the sweet cinnamon.
Yeah.
Cinnamon pro tips. We'll leave it there anyway,
Cinnamon
guys.
pro tips.
So
Okay, so
thanks.
get your screenshot. Get your
Oh, yeah.
screenshot. Ready? 1, 2, 3. And there you go. Thanks ever so much. So lots of love, guys. Lots of love to you, Bay. And I shall catch up with you next week.
Sure. Yeah. Cheers, guys, for listening, and share away with any of your pals. And we'll
With the
speak very soon.
pals.
See you in a bit.
See ya.
Bye.